The ship moved silently through the endless darkness between stars. Tejo sat in his chair, watching Viola as she checked the ship's systems. His mind was full of questions, each one fighting to be asked first. Viola finished her work and turned to face him. Her golden eyes studied him carefully, like she was looking at something precious and strange at the same time. 1,000 years ago, she began, my people discovered something terrible. We found signs of a great darkness that would one day come to destroy everything. We called it the Void Collapse. Tejo listened without speaking. His hands gripped the arms of his chair. The Void Collapse is not a creature or an army, Vela continued. It is nothingness itself. It moves through space like a wave, and everything it touches simply stops existing. Stars disappear. Planets vanish. Life ends. There is no explosion, no destruction. Things just become nothing. That sounds impossible, Tejo said quietly. I watched it take my homeworld, Vela said. Her voice did not shake, but something in her eyes showed ancient pain. 20 years ago, the first wave reached our galaxy. My planet was at the edge. I watched as mountains, cities, and billions of my people became empty space. I was on a ship, escaping. I could do nothing but watch. Tejo felt cold. He could not imagine such horror. I am sorry, he said, and he meant it. Vila nodded once. After that, my people scattered. We became refugees in a galaxy that did not want us. But some of us remembered the old stories. The prophecy of the ancients. The ancients? A civilization that existed millions of years before any current species, Vela explained. They knew the Void Collapse would come, so they built a weapon to stop it. They called it the Resonance Core. She pressed a button on her chair, and a holographic image appeared in the air between them. It showed a massive crystalline structure, beautiful and frightening at the same time. It pulsed with inner light like a beating heart made of stars. The Resonance Core is the most powerful thing ever created, Vela said. It can push back the Void Collapse. It can save the entire galaxy. But there is a problem. Of course there is, Tejo muttered. The ancients designed the core to work with only one species. A species that did not exist yet when they built it. They saw the future, you see. They knew which species would have the right qualities to use the weapon. Tejo felt something heavy growing in his stomach. He was beginning to understand where this was going. The species they chose, Vela said, looking directly into his eyes, was humanity. The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Tejo shook his head slowly. No, that cannot be right. Humans are nothing special. We are weak compared to other species. We live short lives. We fight among ourselves. We are just ordinary. Vila made a sound that might have been a laugh. That is what everyone thinks. That is what we thought too, at first. But the ancients were wise beyond understanding. They did not choose humanity for your strength or your technology. They chose you for something else. What? Your soul fire, Vila said. That is our word for it. Humans have something inside them that no other species has. You adapt. You create. You feel emotions with a depth that other species cannot match. You love. You hate. You hope. You dream. You are chaos and beauty mixed together. The resonance core responds to this energy. It needs it to function. Tejo stood up from his chair. He walked to the window and looked out at the passing stars. His reflection stared back at him. Ordinary face, ordinary eyes, ordinary everything. Even if that is true, he said, why me? There are billions of humans. Why did you search the entire galaxy for one mechanic on a mining station? Vala came to stand beside him. The core does not respond to all humans equally. The ancients left markers in your genetic code, passed down through generations. Only a few bloodlines, carried the strongest connection to the core. For decades, we have been testing humans secretly, searching for the right one. She pulled out a small object from her belt. It was a fragment of crystal, no bigger than Taeho's thumb. It glowed softly with the same light as the holographic image. "This is a piece of the resonance core," she said. "Take it." Taeho hesitated. "What will happen?" "If you are not the one, nothing. If you are the one, the fragment will recognize you." Slowly, Taeho reached out and took the fragment. The moment his fingers touched it, everything changed. Light exploded from the crystal. It was not painful, but it was overwhelming. Taeho felt something rush through his body, through his mind, through his very soul. He heard whispers in a language he did not know, but somehow understood. He saw images flash before his eyes, stars being born, galaxies spinning, life growing on countless worlds, and then he saw the darkness. The void collapse, rushing toward everything, erasing reality itself. The vision ended. Taeho found himself on his knees, gasping for breath. The fragment still glowed in his hand, brighter than before. Vela knelt beside him. Her expression mixed wonder and hope. "It has never responded like that before. You are the one, Kim Taeho. The prophecy is true." Taeho looked at the glowing crystal in his shaking hand. "I cannot do this," he said. "I fix machines. That is all I know. I am not a hero. I am not special. The ancients chose you," Vela said firmly. "A million years before you were born, they looked into the future and saw you. They built their greatest creation for you. You can doubt yourself, but you cannot doubt them." Before Taeho could respond, an alarm sounded through the ship. Vela jumped to her feet and ran to the controls. Her four hands moved quickly across the panels. "Commander Hack's forces," she said. "They have followed us. The one who attacked the station?" "Yes. He's a warlord who believes humanity is a disease. He wants to destroy your entire species before the prophecy can be fulfilled. He thinks if there are no humans left, the galaxy will find another way to survive. Will it?" Taeho asked. Vela was quiet for a moment. "No. The ancients were clear. Only humans can activate the core. If humanity dies, the galaxy dies with it. Commander Hack is a fool, but he is a powerful fool with many ships and many soldiers." The ship shook as weapons fire hit their shields. Through the window, Taeho saw several enemy ships appearing from light speed. They were surrounded. "We cannot fight them all," Vela said. "But I know a place where we can hide. My people's secret world. If we can get there, you will be safe. You can train. You can prepare for what is to come." "Train? Prepare for what?" "To use the resonance core to save the galaxy." Vala looked at him with her fierce golden eyes. "You said you are not special. Prove yourself wrong." The ship turned sharply, dodging incoming fire. Vala's hands danced across the controls, guiding them through the chaos with incredible skill. Enemy ships exploded around them as she returned fire with deadly accuracy. Taeho held onto his chair, watching this alien warrior woman fight with everything she had to protect him. Him, a simple mechanic from a forgotten mining station. He looked at the crystal fragment still glowing in his hand. He felt its warmth, its power, its promise. Maybe he was not special. Maybe the ancients made a mistake. But Vela believed in him. An entire civilization had pinned their hopes on him. The galaxy itself was waiting for him. Could he run from that? Could he hide? No. He was many things, but he was not a coward. "Tell me what I need to do," he said, his voice stronger than before. Vela smiled for the first time since they met. It transformed her face, making her look almost human. "First, we survived this battle," she said. "Then, we go to Kethan Prime. And then, Kim Taeho, we make you into the weapon you were born to be." The ship jumped to light speed. leaving their enemies behind in a flash of impossible light. Far away, on a planet called Earth, a young woman named Lisora received a strange message. It contained only coordinates and 2 words that made her blood run cold. Brother alive. She stared at the screen, tears forming in her eyes. She had thought Taiho died in the mining station attack. The news had reported no survivors, but this message was using their private code, the one they created as children. Only Taiho knew it. So made a decision in that moment. She would find her brother, even if she had to cross the entire galaxy to do it. She did not know that by making this choice, she was becoming part of something much bigger than herself. Something that would determine the fate of every living thing in existence. The prophecy was unfolding. The pieces were moving into place, and the darkness continued its endless march toward everything that lived. Kethan Prime was hidden. No star map showed its location. No trade routes passed nearby. It existed in a pocket of space that most ships would fly right past without ever knowing anything was there. Vila guided the ship through a maze of asteroids and energy fields. Taiho watched through the window as the planet slowly appeared from the darkness. It was small and gray, covered with mountains and deep valleys. Not much to look at, but that was the point. For 30 years my people have hidden here, Vila said. After our homeworld was destroyed, the survivors needed somewhere safe. Somewhere Commander Hack and his allies could not find. They landed in a valley surrounded by tall cliffs. As they stepped out of the ship, Taiho saw structures built into the rock walls. Buildings carved from stone, connected by bridges and walkways. It looked ancient and modern at the same time. People came out to meet them. Taiho realized they were not all Kethni like Vila. He saw different species, different shapes, different colors. Some had 4 arms like Vila. Others had wings. Others had bodies he could not even describe. But they all wore the same symbol on their clothes, a blade crossed with a star. The Blade Seekers were not just Kethni, Vela explained, seeing his confusion. We accepted members from many species. Anyone who believed in the prophecy. Anyone willing to fight for the future. They walked through the settlement. People stared at Taiho with a mixture of curiosity and hope. Some reached out to touch him as he passed, whispering words he did not understand. It made him uncomfortable. They have waited their entire lives for you, Vila said quietly. For many of them, their parents waited too, and their grandparents before them. You are the proof that their faith was not foolish. They entered a large building at the heart of the settlement. Inside, a council of elderly aliens sat in a circle. They were the oldest beings Taiho had ever seen. Their bodies were frail, but their eyes were sharp and full of wisdom. The Elder Council, Vala said, bowing her head in respect. The leaders of what remains of the Blade Seekers. One of the elders, a Kethni woman with silver hair and clouded golden eyes, spoke first. So this is the human, the one the ancients chose. Her voice was weak but carried across the room clearly. Yes, Elder Kira, Vila answered. The fragment responded to him more strongly than any we have tested. He is the one. The elders studied Taiho for a long moment. He felt small under their gaze. Do you understand what you are? Elder Kira asked him. Vila has explained some of it, Taiho said carefully. But I still do not understand how I am supposed to save anything. I am not strong. I am not wise. I do not know how to fight or use powers or any of the things heroes are supposed to do. A sound passed through the council. It took Taiho a moment to realize it was laughter. The human is honest, another elder said. That is good. Honesty is the first step to wisdom. Elder Kira leaned forward in her chair. The resonance core does not need a warrior young human. It does not respond to strength or skill. It responds to something deeper. Something your species has that others do not. Soulfire, Tejo said, remembering Vela's words. Yes, your emotions, your creativity, your ability to hope when hope is foolish. Your stubbornness. Your refusal to accept impossible odds. Elder Kira smiled slightly. We have studied many species. None feel as deeply as humans. None fight as hard when they should have given up long ago. The ancients understood this. They built the core to use this energy. So what do I need to do? You must learn to focus your soul fire, Vela said. To control it and direct it. The core is waiting on a dead world at the center of the galaxy. When you reach it, you must be ready to connect with it completely. Training began the next day. It was not what Tejo expected. There were no weapons, no combat exercises, no physical training at all. Instead, Vela took him to a quiet room carved into the mountainside. She made him sit on the floor and close his eyes. Empty your mind, she instructed. Find a quiet place inside yourself. Tejo tried. He really did. But his mind kept wandering. He thought about the mining station. He thought about his sister Sora and whether she knew he was alive. He thought about Commander Hack and the army hunting them. He thought about the void collapse, erasing everything in its path. You are thinking too much, Vala said. How do you know? Your face shows everything. Humans are not good at hiding their feelings. Usually that is a weakness. Here, it tells me you are not focused. Days passed. Then weeks. Tejo struggled with the meditation exercises. He struggled to find the quiet place Viola talked about. Every time he thought he was getting close, something would distract him. But slowly, very slowly, things began to change. One morning, he was sitting in his usual spot, trying to focus, when he felt something strange. A warmth in his chest. A connection to something larger than himself. For just a moment, he felt the fragment in his pocket pulse in response. There, Vela said, her voice excited. You felt it. Hold on to that feeling. Tejo tried, but it slipped away like water through his fingers. Still, he had felt it. That was progress. Meanwhile, Sora was making progress of her own. She had stolen a research vessel from the station where she worked as a xenobiologist. She was risking everything, her career, her freedom, her life. But family was more important than any of that. The coordinates from the mysterious message led her to the ruins of mining station Omega 7. She found nothing but debris and death. But she also found clues. Energy signatures from alien weapons. Jump coordinates extracted from damaged computers. A trail to follow. She was getting closer. Back on Kethan Prime. Tejo's training continued. Each day, he got a little better at connecting with the power inside himself. He learned that his emotions were not weaknesses to be suppressed, but strengths to be channeled. His fear could become determination. His anger could become focus. His love for his sister, for his lost home, for the simple life he would never have again. All of it was fuel for the soul fire that the ancients had recognized so long ago. Then the attack came. It happened at night. Alarms tore through the settlement as ships appeared in the sky above. Kethan Prime. Commander Hack had found them. Tejo ran outside to see fire falling from the sky. Buildings exploded around him. People screamed and ran in every direction. The Blade Seekers tried to fight back, but they were too few and their enemies were too many. Vila found him in the chaos. We must get you out of here. You are all that matters. What about everyone else? They will do what they must. As will you. The Elder Council was gathering in the central building. When Tejo arrived, he saw them standing in a circle, holding hands. Energy flowed between them, building into something bright and powerful. What are they doing? He asked. Giving us time, Vela said, her voice heavy with sadness. Elder Kira looked at Tejo, with her clouded eyes. Go to the cradle, young human. Find the resonance core. Save what we cannot. Light exploded from the elders. A shield of pure energy expanded outward, covering the entire settlement. The enemy weapons hit it and bounced away harmlessly, but Taiho could see the cost. The elders were aging before his eyes. They were using their own life force to power the shield. No, he said. There must be another way. There is no other way, Elder Kira said, her voice growing weaker. We have waited centuries for this moment. Let us give our lives meaning. Let us give you the time you need. Vila grabbed Taiho's arm. We must go, now. Do not let their sacrifice be worthless. Tears ran down Taiho's face as Vela pulled him away. He watched the elders fall one by one, their bodies crumbling to dust as they poured everything they had into the shield. They smiled as they died. They died with hope. The ship launched as the shield began to fail. Taiho watched through the window as Kethan Prime grew smaller behind them. He saw the enemy ships break through, saw explosions bloom across the surface, saw everything the Blade Seekers had built for 30 years burn. They believed in you, Vela said quietly. Now you must prove them right. Taiho wiped his eyes. The sadness inside him turned into something hotter and hotter, purpose. Take me to the cradle, he said. I will end this. I will make Commander Hack pay for what he has done. And I will save this galaxy, even if it kills me. Vela looked at him with respect in her golden eyes. Now you sound like the human the ancients chose. The ship jumped to light speed, racing toward the center of the galaxy. Racing toward destiny. The alarm screamed through the metal walls of Mining Station Omega-7. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Kim Tae-ho dropped his welding tool and looked up from the broken drill engine he was fixing. Something was very wrong. He had worked on this station for 3 years. He knew every sound it made. The rumble of the ore processors, the hum of the life support systems, the distant clanking of mining robots doing their jobs. But this sound was different. This was the sound of danger. Taiho ran to the nearest window and looked outside into the black void of space. His heart stopped. A massive warship hung in the darkness like a metal monster. It was not human. The design was alien, with sharp edges and glowing purple lines running across its surface. He had never seen anything like it. The station shook as something hit it hard. Taiho fell against the wall. More explosions followed. He could hear people screaming somewhere far away. Then came the sounds of weapons firing. He had to hide. Taiho was not a soldier. He was just a mechanic. He fixed things. That was all he knew how to do. His hands were good with machines, not guns. So he did the only smart thing he could think of. He ran toward the cargo bay at the bottom of the station. It was full of metal containers in dark corners. A good place to disappear. The corridors were chaos. People ran in every direction. Some were crying. Some were bleeding. Taiho pushed through them, his heart beating so fast he thought it might explode. He heard more weapons firing, closer now. He heard strange voices shouting in a language he did not understand. He reached the cargo bay and squeezed himself between 2 large shipping containers. From his hiding spot, he could see the main entrance through a small gap. He tried to control his breathing. He tried to be silent. Minutes passed. The sounds of fighting grew louder, then softer, then loud again. Taiho heard footsteps entering the cargo bay. Heavy footsteps. Not human footsteps. Through the gap, he saw them. Alien soldiers in dark armor moved through the bay like hunters looking for prey. They were tall, much taller than any human. Their helmets hid their faces, but their bodies were wrong. Too many arms. 4 arms each, holding weapons that glowed with strange energy. Taiho pressed his hand over his mouth to stop himself from making any sound. He watched as the soldiers checked behind containers, under equipment, inside storage units. They were searching for something. Or someone. Then she appeared. She was different from the soldiers. She wore armor too, but hers was black and silver, more elegant, more deadly. She moved with the grace of a predator, each step careful and purposeful. She was tall like the others, with silver skin that seemed to glow softly in the dim light of the cargo bay. Her forearms hung at her sides, but even relaxed, they looked ready to strike. She removed her helmet. Taeho saw her face for the first time. It was almost human, but not quite. Her features were sharp and beautiful in a strange way. Her eyes were golden, bright like small suns. Long white hair fell down her back like a river of moonlight. She said something to the soldiers in their alien language. They stopped searching and stood at attention. Then she closed her eyes and seemed to concentrate on something. Her golden eyes moved behind their lids, searching for something invisible. Suddenly, those eyes opened and looked directly at Taeho's hiding spot. She walked toward him. Her footsteps echoed in the silent bay. Taeho wanted to run, but his body refused to move. Fear had frozen him in place. She reached the containers and looked down at him. For a long moment, she just stared. Taeho stared back, waiting for death. But death did not come. Instead, something changed in her expression. Her fierce golden eyes softened. Her shoulders relaxed. She let out a long breath, and Taeho realized with shock that she looked relieved. Happy, even. I have been searching the entire galaxy for you, human, she said. Her voice was deep and smooth, and she spoke his language perfectly. Taeho opened his mouth, but no words came out. His mind was empty with confusion. My name is Vila, she continued. I am the last of the Blade Seekers, and you are coming with me. Before Taeho could respond, a massive explosion rocked the station. The floor tilted. Alarms screamed even louder than before. Vela looked up sharply, her expression changing to concern. They found us faster than I expected, she said. We must go, now. What? Who? I do not understand anything. Taeho finally found his voice. Who are you? Why are you looking for me? I am nobody. Vela grabbed his arm with one of her 4 hands. Her grip was strong like iron, but not painful. There is no time to explain. Commander Hack and his forces are here. If they capture you, they will kill you. If you die, everything dies. She pulled him out of his hiding spot and started running toward a side exit. Taeho stumbled after her, having no choice but to follow. I have a ship, Vela said as they ran. We will escape through the maintenance tunnels. Behind them, Taeho heard more explosions. He heard the alien soldiers shouting. He heard weapons firing in their direction. Energy bolts flew past them, hitting the walls and leaving smoking holes. Vila moved fast, impossibly fast. She used her 4 arms to push obstacles out of the way, to grab Taeho when he fell, to fire a weapon at their pursuers without slowing down. She was a warrior. That much was clear. Every movement she made was perfect and deadly. They reached a small hangar where a sleek alien ship waited. It was beautiful, shaped like a silver blade, ready to cut through the darkness of space. The door opened as they approached. More soldiers appeared behind them. Vela threw Taeho toward the ship's entrance. Get inside. She turned and faced their attackers alone. Taeho watched from the doorway as she fought. Her 4 arms held 4 blades, each one glowing with white energy. She moved like water, like wind, like death itself. Soldiers fell around her, but more kept coming. Go to the control room. She shouted without looking back. The ship will protect you. Taeho ran inside. The ship seemed to recognize him somehow. Lights turned on. A door opened, leading him to a small room with a single chair. He sat down, not knowing what else to do. Through the ship's windows, he saw Vela make one final strike, cutting down 3 soldiers at once. Then she ran toward the ship, jumping through the closing door just as enemy fire exploded where she had been standing. The ship lifted off. Tejo felt the acceleration push him back into the chair. Through the window, he watched mining station Omega-7 grow smaller. Fires burned across its surface. Escape pods launched in every direction. His home for 3 years was dying, and he had no idea why. Villa entered the control room. She was breathing hard, but she did not seem injured. She sat in the pilot's chair, and her 4 hands moved across the controls with amazing speed. "Hold on," she said. "We are jumping to light speed." The stars outside became lines of light. The ship shook once, then everything became smooth and quiet. They had escaped. Tejo looked at Vela. She looked back at him. "Now," he said, his voice shaking but determined, "you will tell me everything? Who are you really? Why were you searching for me? And what do you mean when you say if I die, everything dies?" Vela was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "You deserve answers, Kin Tejo. But I warn you, the truth is heavy. It will change everything you believe about yourself and about your species. Are you ready for that?" Tejo thought about his simple life. Fixing machines. Eating alone. Sleeping alone. Dreaming of nothing. Maybe change was not such a bad thing. Maybe change was not such a bad thing. "Tell me," he said. And so she began. The journey to the cradle was not simple. Commander Hack knew where they were going. His fleet controlled every major route to the galactic center. They had ships at every checkpoint, soldiers at every station. Vela had to be clever. She took them through dangerous paths that most pilots would never attempt. They flew through asteroid fields where rocks the size of mountains tumbled in the darkness. They skipped across the edges of black holes, using the gravity to bend their path. They hid in the radiation shadows of dying stars. Tejo spent most of the journey practicing what the elders had taught him. He sat in his small room aboard the ship, eyes closed, searching for that quiet place inside himself. The fragments stayed in his pocket, and sometimes he felt it pulse warmly in response to his efforts. He thought about the elders who died for him. He thought about all the blade seekers who had devoted their lives to a prophecy they would never see fulfilled. He thought about his sister Sora, somewhere out there, probably worried about him. His focus improved. Each day, the connection came faster and lasted longer. He was changing, becoming something more than he had been after 2 weeks of dangerous travel. They stopped at a lawless station on the edge of known space. They needed supplies and fuel. The station was called the Crossroads, a place where criminals, refugees, and outcasts gathered beyond the reach of any law. It was here that Sora found them. Tejo was walking through the crowded market when he heard a familiar voice call his name. He turned and saw his sister pushing through the crowd, her face thin and tired, but her eyes bright with tears. "Sora!" He ran to her, and they embraced. He held her tight, afraid she might disappear if he let go. "I thought you were dead," she said into his shoulder. "The report said no survivors. I grieve for you." "I know. I am sorry. There was no way to contact you safely." Vela appeared beside them, her hand resting on her weapon. "Who is this?" "My sister, Lee Sora. She is a xenobiologist. She studies alien life." Vela relaxed slightly. "Family, I understand. But we cannot stay here long. Every moment increases our danger." They moved to a private room in a cheap hotel. Sora explained how she had tracked them, following clues across a dozen systems. She had risked everything to find her brother. "You should not have come," Tejo said gently. "It is too dangerous." "You are my only family," Sora replied. "After our parents died, you raised me, You worked 2 jobs to pay for my education. You gave up your own dreams so I could have mine. Did you think I would let you face this alone? Teho could not argue with that. SOR had brought something valuable with her. In her work as a xenobiologist, she had studied ancient artifacts. She had access to fragments of their texts that other researchers had collected over centuries. I decoded some of it during my journey, she said, pulling out a data device. There is something about the resonance core that you need to know. Vila leaned forward. What did you find? Sora hesitated. The look on her face told Teho the news was not good. The core requires a sacrifice to activate, she said quietly. The user's consciousness merges with the weapon permanently. You become part of the galaxy's defense system. Your body survives, but your mind. You would lose yourself, Teho. You would become something else entirely. The room fell silent. Teho felt the weight of those words pressing down on him. You knew about this? He asked Vila. I knew it was a possibility, Vila admitted. The texts we had were incomplete. I hoped it would be different. But you brought me anyway. You did not tell me. Would you have come if I had? Teho did not answer. He did not know. He walked to the window and looked out at the chaos of the station below. People going about their lives, buying and selling, laughing and arguing. They had no idea that darkness was coming to erase them all. Could he run? Could he hide? Let someone else deal with this impossible burden? No, there was no one else. The ancients had been very clear about that. How long do we have? He asked. Before the void collapse reaches the main population centers? Months at most, Vala said. The wave is accelerating. It has already consumed a third of the outer galaxy. Billions have died. And if I do nothing, everything dies. Every world. Every species. Every memory. The galaxy becomes empty space. Teho turned back to face them. His sister looked at him with tears in her eyes. She understood what he was going to say before he said it. Then I have no choice, he said. I will do what must be done. No. Sora grabbed his arm. There must be another way. We can find another solution. There is no other solution. There is only me. I did not ask for this, but it is mine to carry. He touched her face gently. You found me across the entire galaxy. That means everything. But now you must let me go. Sora shook her head, but she could see the determination in his eyes. She knew that look. He had worn it when he worked those terrible jobs to support her. He had worn it when he sent her to the best schools, even though he could barely afford food for himself. Kim Tae-ho was stubborn in ways that could not be changed. They left the station together. Sora refused to go back to Earth. If her brother was going to sacrifice himself, she would be there with him until the end. The final leg of the journey took another week. Commander Hack's forces found them twice. Both times, Vela's skill and luck got them through. But their ship was damaged. Their supplies were low. They could not survive another battle. The cradle appeared before them like something from a cottage nightmare. It was a dead world at the exact center of the galaxy. No star lit its surface. The only light came from the billions of stars surrounding it, creating a sky unlike anything Taeho had ever seen. The planet itself was covered with ruins. Massive structures stretched across its surface, each one larger than any human city. The ancients had built on a scale that made modern civilizations look like children playing with blocks. And at the heart of it all, visible even from orbit, stood the resonance core. It was exactly as the hologram had shown it. A crystalline mountain, pulsing with dormant power. Even from space, Taeho could feel it calling to him. The fragment in his pocket burned warmly against his leg. We are not alone, Vela said, her voice tense. Through the window, they could see Commander Hack's flagship in orbit around the cradle. Smaller ships surrounded it like metal insects around a hive. They had arrived first. He knew we would come here, Sora said. He was waiting. Vela's hands moved across the controls, looking for options. Our ship cannot fight them. We must find another way down to the surface. A transmission came through their communication system. A face appeared on the screen, harsh and scarred, with 4 eyes that burned with hatred. Commander Hack. Human, he said, his voice dripping with contempt. I have waited a long time for this moment. You think you are special because some ancient fools chose your worthless species? You are nothing. Your people are nothing. A disease to be burned away. Tejo stepped forward to face the screen. Why do you hate us so much? What did humanity ever do to you? What did humanity ever do to you? You exist, Hack spat. You spread across the galaxy like a virus. You take worlds that do not belong to you. You breed and multiply without control. And now you dare to claim you are the chosen ones? You are not chosen. You are a mistake. And I will correct that mistake today. The transmission ended. Vela looked at Tejo with something like admiration in her eyes. You faced him without fear. I was terrified, Tejo admitted. But I have learned to use fear. The elders taught me that. Then you have truly learned. They found a damaged shuttle in the ship's cargo hold. It was barely functional, but it might make it to the surface. Tejo, Vela, and Sora climbed aboard while the main ship continued on autopilot, drawing Hack's attention. The descent was rough. The shuttle shook and groaned as it fell through the thin atmosphere of the cradle. Through the small window, Tejo watched the resonance core grow larger and larger. They crashed in the ruins less than a kilometer from the core. The shuttle was destroyed. But they were alive. They climbed out into a landscape of broken stone and ancient metal. The air was thin but breathable. The ground trembled slightly, as if the planet itself was waiting. Tejo looked at the resonance core towering above them. In person, it was even more magnificent than he had imagined. It pulsed with inner light, and he could hear a sound coming from it, not with his ears, but with something deeper. A song that resonated with his very soul. I can feel it, he whispered. It knows I am here. Enemy ships began landing around them. Soldiers poured out, surrounding the ruins. Commander Hack was not going to let them reach the core without a fight. Vela drew her blades. Sora pulled out a small weapon she had hidden in her bag. They were outmatched and outnumbered, but they were not beaten. Go, Vela said to Tejo. Sora and I will hold them here. You must reach the core. I cannot leave you. You must. Everything depends on it. All our sacrifices, all our deaths, they mean nothing if you fail now. Tejo looked at his sister. She smiled at him with tears in her eyes. Go, brother. Save the galaxy. I will be fine. He knew she was lying, but he also knew she was right. He ran toward the resonance core, leaving behind everything he loved. Behind him, he heard the sounds of battle beginning. Ahead of him, the core's song grew louder, filling his mind with ancient purpose. This was what he was born for. This was his destiny. Tejo ran through the ancient ruins. His lungs burned and his legs ached, but he did not slow down. Behind him, explosions and weapons fire filled the air. Vela and Sora were fighting to give him time. He could not waste their sacrifice. The resonance core rose before him like a mountain made of light. With each step closer, he felt its presence growing stronger in his mind. It was not just calling to him anymore. It was welcoming him home. He reached the base of the core and stopped. Up close, he could see the crystal surface was covered with patterns, symbols in a language that no living being could read. The fragment in his pocket was burning now, so hot it hurt. He pulled it out and watched it float from his hand, rising toward the larger structure. The fragment touched the core and merged with it instantly. A wave of light washed over Tejo, warm and gentle, and suddenly he understood what he had to do. He placed his hand on the crystalline surface. Human. The voice came from behind him. He turned and saw Commander Hack walking toward him. The warlord was alone, his soldiers left behind. In his 4 hands, he held weapons that glowed with deadly energy. "Step away from the core," Hack commanded. "Step away, and I will make your death quick. Continue, and I will make you suffer." Tejo kept his hand on the crystal. He could feel power flowing into him, but it was not enough yet. He needed more time. "Why?" Tejo asked, trying to stall. "Why do you hate humanity so much? You said we are a disease, but we have never attacked your people. We have never wronged you." Hack laughed, an ugly sound full of bitterness. "You think this is about what you have done? This is about what you are. The galaxy has hundreds of species, each with their own strengths, their own place in the order of things. And then there are humans. Weak, short-lived, primitive. Yet somehow you spread everywhere. Somehow you survive everything. And now the ancients say you are the chosen ones? That you are special?" He spat on the ground. "You are not special. You are lucky. And luck always runs out." "Maybe it is not luck," Tejo said. The power was building inside him. He just needed a little more time. "Maybe there is something in us that you cannot see. Something the ancients recognized. Soul fire." Hack made the words sound like a curse. "Your precious emotions. Your chaos. The Kethni speak of it like it is a gift. But I have seen what humans do with their emotions. You destroy each other. You wage wars over nothing. You hate and fear anything different from yourselves. If the ancients truly saw the future, they made a terrible mistake choosing your kind." Tejo thought about those words, and he realized something important. "Maybe you are right," he said. "Humans are not perfect. We are cruel sometimes. We are foolish often. We hurt each other and ourselves. But we also love. We hope. We dream of better things. We look at the stars and wonder what is out there. We are not perfect, but we try to be better. Every generation tries to be better than the one before." He looked at Hack with something like pity. "Is that not true of your species too? Do you not have dreams? Do you not have hope?" For a moment, something flickered in Hack's 4 eyes. Pain, perhaps. Or memory. Then his face hardened again. "Enough talking." He raised his weapons and fired. Tejo felt the energy bolts hit him. They should have killed him instantly. But the core protected him. A shield of light absorbed the attacks and turned them into nothing. "What?" Hack stared in disbelief. "How?" Tejo smiled. "You were right about one thing. I am not special. I am just a mechanic who fixes broken things. But right now, the galaxy is broken, and I am going to fix it." He pushed both hands against the core and opened himself completely. Power flooded through him like a river of fire. He felt his consciousness expanding, stretching beyond the limits of his body. He was still Tejo, but he was also something more. He could feel the stars burning. He could feel the planets spinning. He could feel every living thing in the galaxy, billions upon billions of souls, each one precious, each one worth saving. And he could feel the void collapse. It was closer than he expected. A wall of nothingness rushing toward the heart of the galaxy. It would arrive in weeks, not months. It would erase everything. Unless he stopped it. Tejo reached out with his new power and touched the edge of the darkness. It was cold, so cold it burned. It was empty in a way that human minds could not comprehend. It was the end of all things. He pushed back. Light exploded from the resonance core. It spread across the cradle, across the system, across the galaxy itself. Tejo screamed as the power tore through him. It was too much for one human to hold. He felt himself breaking apart. Then he felt something else. Other presences joining with his own. Vela was there, her warrior spirit adding strength. Sora was there, her love and hope adding warmth. And beyond them, he felt millions of others. Humans on 1,000 worlds, feeling the core's call, lending their soul fire without even knowing it. The ancients had not designed the core for one human. They had designed it for all of humanity. Together, they pushed out. The void collapse slowed, stopped, and then, impossibly, began to retreat. Commander Hack watched in horror as light swept across the sky. His flagship exploded as the core's power tore through it. His fleet scattered, their weapons useless against something they could not understand. "No," he whispered. "This is not possible." But it was possible. It was happening. Taiho felt the darkness withdraw, push back to the edges of the galaxy where it had first appeared. He knew it would not last forever. The void would return someday, but not today. Today, the galaxy was saved. The power began to fade. Taiho felt himself returning to his body, shrinking back to human size. The connection was not permanent, he realized. The ancients had been merciful. He would not lose himself after all. He collapsed at the base of the core, exhausted beyond anything he had ever experienced. When he opened his eyes, Vela was looking down at him. Her silver face was covered with cuts and burns from battle, but she was smiling. "You did it," she said. "You actually did it." "We did it," Taiho corrected her. "All of us." Sora appeared beside Viola, crying and laughing at the same time. She hugged her brother so tightly he could barely breathe. "I thought I lost you," she said. "The light was so bright. I thought you were gone." "I am still here," Taiho assured her. "I am still me." Vela helped him stand. Around them, the ruins of the cradle were peaceful now. Hack's soldiers had fled. The warlord himself had vanished, escaped in a shuttle during the chaos. "He will return," Vela said. "Hack is not the type to accept defeat." "Let him come," Taiho said. "I will be ready." He looked up at the resonance core. It was different now, no longer pulsing with desperate energy, but glowing softly with satisfied calm. He could feel it in his mind, a constant presence, a connection that would last for the rest of his life. "What happens now?" Sora asked. Viola looked at the stars filling the sky above them. "The galaxy will change. Word of what happened here will spread. Humanity will no longer be seen as a weak species. You will be known as the ones who saved everything." "I was not alone," Taiho said. "Humans across the galaxy lent their strength. They did not even know what they were doing, but they helped anyway. That is what makes us special. Not one hero. All of us together." They returned to orbit in an enemy shuttle that Vela had captured. The battle was over. Hack's fleet was gone. Only debris remained. News traveled fast. Within days, ships began arriving at the cradle. Scientists, diplomats, pilgrims. Everyone wanted to see the human who had saved the galaxy. Taiho did not want to be famous. He wanted to go back to fixing machines, living quietly, being nobody. But that was not possible anymore. The galaxy had claimed him. Months later, he stood on a platform before representatives of 100 species. They had gathered to honor him and to announce a new alliance between their worlds. An alliance with humanity at its center. "You'd call us the chosen ones," Taiho said, speaking to the crowd. "But we did not choose ourselves. The ancients saw something in humanity that we could not see. Maybe they saw our potential. Maybe they saw our hearts. I do not know." He paused, looking at Vela standing proudly in the front row and at Sora beside her. "What I do know is that we are all connected. Every species, every world, every life. The void tried to separate us into nothing, but we are stronger together. That is the lesson of the resonance core. That is the lesson the ancients wanted us to learn. The crowd cheered. Leaders of species who had once looked down on humanity now bowed their heads in respect. Later, after the ceremony, Vela found Tejo standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars. "You could be king of the galaxy," she said. "They would follow you anywhere." "I do not want to be king," Tejo replied. "I want to be what I have always been. Someone who fixes broken things." Vela stood beside him, her silver skin glowing in the starlight. "The galaxy has many broken things." He smiled. "Then I will have plenty of work." She smiled back. "And you will not work alone. My people owe you everything. I owe you everything. Wherever you go, I will follow. Even if I go somewhere boring? Especially then. Someone needs to protect you from yourself." They laughed together, two warriors from different worlds, bound by fate and friendship far away on Earth. People looked up at the night sky and wondered about the human who had saved them all. Children dreamed of traveling to the stars. Scientists worked to understand the ancients' technology.